It's wonderful being in this school finally. Why I say finally? Because I've had lots of friends whose children have graduated from this school. I also have friends whose children are still studying in this school. So I always wanted to see this campus, and wonderful to be with the youngsters, the future of the nation. So I normally, when I talk, I always tell youngsters, have a plan A. Plan A is something which is your passion you want to pursue, whether you're a banker or a writer or a actor or a dancer, whatever. And but there should always be a plan B. A plan B is, especially in the creative and the performing arts like dancing or singing, music, writing, filmmaking, acting, it's not very easy. If you're a director or an actor, as my husband always said, the late Om Puri, that you also have to have a plan B as a backup. And that is whether you do things related to your field you want to pursue. So if you're an actor, till you make it big, you teach acting, you do cinematography, you do editing, you do sound, something which will give you a steady income, will have the home fires burning, so that you don't get frustrated and said, oh damn, I'm like 30 and I don't have a job as an actor. So you keep doing these little things. Even me as a writer, I wanted to be a writer, but I just couldn't, finish my school and become a writer. So what I did was do manuscript editing, proofreading, copywriting, content writing, the little ways to earn money, so that at least I could sustain till I became a professional journalist. And then finally, after years of being a columnist, I managed to get a publisher to publish my books, short stories, novels, biography, and it went on. And then today I am very happy to call myself a writer or an author. But then there's another plan. It's the plan C. Plan C is catastrophe. Plan C is COVID-19. Plan C is the pandemic which none of us, or any kind of catastrophe or emergency which none of us plan. So in 2020, end of February 2020, I just published my book called Jennifer. Jennifer, based on a true story of Jennifer Haynes. You can Google her. And this was a book on child trafficking and intercountry adoption. And I spent 5 years, because I had no idea about intercountry adoption or international child trafficking. So 5 years went into research, where my friends who ran an organization called ACT, based out of Brussels, against child trafficking, they helped me with a lot of research. And of course, it was Jennifer's story which I worked towards. And finally, the book came. It was published end of Feb 2020. Next, I had my bags packed. Like, you have all these fancy launch parties, book readings, lit fests. So in fact, I was going to Jalgaon with my bags packed for reading, and then the lockdown happened. So the first thing I said, damn it. My book had to come out now when I can't have a single launch, I can't have anything, I can't do book readings, and what do I do? So I was angry, very, very angry. Very angry that why me? Why did it have to happen when after 5 years of research, the lockdown happened? So I kept sulking like a school kid, and then I said, okay, fine. Then I started behaving like a school kid who, just the exams were over and you have no timing, no discipline. So I just ate, slept, awoke, walked within the house and stuff like that. Then after a time, I realized this is not going to help me, sustain too long, because none of us knew exactly how long the lockdown was going to hold on. So I said, well, I have to be more productive. And of course, there was a lot of semi-depression. I won't even say semi-depression, but a kind of thing setting in, is because we were all scared. And then I realized, why am I sulking for a silly book launch and this thing when people were actually dying? I said, I have to be grateful that I didn't travel to this small place and would have been stuck there for 6 months. I was within the confines of my home with my family and had all the comforts. Yes, I couldn't go out, but that's okay. We have to move on with the time. So that's when, first thing I did, when I realized I'm going to go into a kind of a semi-depression, is I stopped watching the news. I stopped all the WhatsApp universities and the social media and 101 advices and stuff like that. I felt better. I started seeing feel-good movies, listening to music, but that was not enough. How much can you see movies and listen to music? So I realized the best thing to do when you have nothing to do is to use your hands. You use your mind all the time, but along with the mind, you use your hand. Now, this is something everyone will understand because all of us became master chefs at home. YouTube, whatever, exchanging recipes. So I started, cooking, which I'd never done. My husband was a good cook, but I could never cook so much. And I actually started cooking, and I realized I can cook, and the chopping and peeling and cutting vegetables and cleaning the house actually, when you're working with your hands, it made you feel good. And then the other thing was, I said, okay, since I'm not going to go out, I am in the evening, I realized gratitude over and over again, and for the little pleasures of life. And I realized I am not going to hoard stuff, because who knows, you're living in the now. So I started using the best of crockery, the best of wine glasses. In the evenings, I would dress up and sit and say, why? I shouldn't be in my dirty, nightgown like a lot of people were doing, because if you don't dress up well, you don't feel good. So all that happened. And then I said, I need to go further beyond that. That's when I started writing the screenplay on Jennifer, my book. And of course, there were lots of writing workshops. People said, will you take writing workshops? I said, of course I will. Anything to give, to help others, I was always there. There was lots of online book reads. There were lots of online book launches. In fact, I think we had much more online virtual book launches than we could have had, offline. So I'm grateful to that. But what I realized in this whole thing is that I started adapting to a new culture. It was no more offline. It was no more physical. We were doing everything virtually. We learnt. And then I started the Om Puri Foundation in 2017 after I lost my husband, the late actor Om Puri, in Cannes. And the whole idea of the foundation was to carry his legacy and his philosophy, philanthropy forward. By legacy, of course, we took his films to various schools, colleges, festivals in India and abroad. And we also started giving scholarships to students of theatre, deserving students of film. And one thing my husband always said is the farmers and the craftsmen or the weavers of the country should be looked into, because the farmers are the backbone of our nation. He himself came from a farming background, and the weavers will make us a self-reliant nation, the weavers and the craftsmen. So I had scholarships called the Om Puri Karigar Award scholarships and the Om Puri Kisan Scholarship. Now suddenly in the pandemic, cooking, reading books online, whatever, seeing minimal news, following all the rules, I suddenly realized, well, the classes are not on in NSD or the Film Institute in Pune. So there is no point in giving any more scholarships. Everything was online. Some places also didn't have classes. So I said, let's think of what I can do now. And now was the question when I realized it is the daily wagers who need the money much more than the students. So I got in touch with the Dabbawala Association, and the Mumbai Dabbawalas, nobody thought of them because they came to a standstill. They were delivering dabbas to offices were closed, and they didn't know where the next meal was coming. So I did a very simple thing. I took down names of the most neediest of the Dabbawalas, started with 50. I just took down their name, their bank account number, and the IFSC code. And I directly transferred money to them. And because I wanted them to have the next 2-3 months of the basic ration. And thank God, for whatever reason, the government did put a ban on liquor, alcohol, so it was good because a lot of men would otherwise be blowing up the money on alcohol. So at least the money mainly went to the women and they sustained their families. Then from 50 to 500 Dabbawalas, then slowly we went into a lot of farmers and we did the same thing as we did with the Dabbawalas. Then we got in touch with craftsmen and weavers from north of India till the very south, and we started in various putting money in their accounts directly for ration, because I didn't believe in giving it to an NGO, because NGOs, what happens is they take 60 to 70% for themselves because they have to sustain their overheads, and the rest goes to the cause. So I said, since my NGO, the Om Puri Foundation, is run by a lot of like-minded people who actually help in their own expertise in their free time without charging a penny, so I don't have to pay anybody. So all I could do was, transfer directly to the people at the ground level. And then, of course, the very bad cyclone had hit Bengal, the Amphan at the Sundarbans, and houses were in a mess in Calcutta and all parts of Sundarbans. So I coordinated with the biggest ground level NGO there. And with them, I got their database. I got about 1,000 families where the Om Puri Foundation could, send in money directly. Now, I didn't look at donations. Of course, I needed the money, but I always remember what my husband had always said, that you work towards a comfortable living, you work towards a future, but at the end of the day, can you have chandi ka roti, ya sone ka roti? You will have 2 to 3 chapatis, what you normally have. Maximum you can have, 4, but you can't have 10 chapatis and fall sick. So why don't you keep that aside? And I realized since we were home, we were not spending, there was no petrol, there was, no going out, no travel. So all that money, I put it for the people who needed it. I would say the deserving people. I did my little bit, not much. But at the end of the day, I realized the Om Puri Foundation started off as to help out the theatre students, film students, and maybe a few students of agriculture and the craftsmen's children. I didn't realize that we could have gone and reached to 50,000 families all over. And that was the first time I realized nothing has to be in a watertight compartment. Oh, no. My foundation is only for films and theatre students. No, it's not that. You have to not only live in the now, you have to adapt in the now. You have to make the most of the now. And that's what I realized. And today we've reached a lot, and I'm very grateful and happy that I could do this. So my whole idea is, whatever you do it with passion. Whatever you do it with your heart. I couldn't cook, but today when I cook with my heart in it, and then only the food tastes good. And whatever you do with passion, whether you're a banker, whether you're a gardener, whether you're an artist or an actor, do it with passion, and that will really not only bring your work to the fore, it will also help you immensely. And if you are satisfied, then nothing can be more satisfying. So what I say is, it's not only live in the now, but adapt to the now and move on. If you move on with the flow, the future comes in easier. And I think none of us should wear masks in terms of doing what we want to do. We should be transparent. The only time you guys need to wear masks, if there is a pandemic or whatever, and I hope that's not going to happen very soon. So be passionate about what you do and make and adapt to the now. Thank you very much.